Well, me and my dad were actually on the way to Eugene to go see David Copperfield together. And the car breaks down on the way. We only made it to Wolf Creek that day. But of course, the next morning, Dad's on the air and he shares the whole story. Unbeknownst to me. So I show up to class. A couple days later, teacher looks at me and goes, "So Snyder, where were you on Tuesday?" And thank goodness, I'm pretty quick on my feet. And I coughed up to it, and he said that was a good thing because you were about ready to get totally busted on this. But anyways, cool memories. You know, Dad had 4 major passions in his life. Family, music, James Bond, right? Everybody knows that, and racing. And even though there's probably some discussion on those last 3, what order they really were, there's definitely not any discussion over his number 1 priority, Dad, or family, excuse me. And I say that, you know, a lot of you heard Dad, especially in the 80s and 90s. He was popular. He had a great radio audience, and you guys have no idea the hours he spent behind the scenes making sure that he was the best he could possibly be. And because of that, Dad actually got numerous big market job offers, tons of them. And Dad always turned them down because he said, "Oh, I can't. My 2 sons are here, my family's here." And that always meant the world to me. So, and when it comes to Bond, a lot of people don't realize that Dad actually had the 3rd largest Bond collection in the world at one point. That's what a Bond fanatic he was. Now, I noticed during that time my birthday presents and Christmas presents got a little smaller. That's cool. And Dad was actually featured on FX channel. They did a big special on him. I think I just found those tapes the other day, and it was amazing. But and then racing. Dad started racing or announcing racing in 1976, right here at the old Medford Speedway. And a lot of people don't even realize he's been doing it for that long. And what a lot of people don't know is that when he showed up there in 1976, it was to watch the announcer so he could learn how to announce. At that point, Dad's never seen a race car, never seen a live race. The announcer didn't show up that night. True story. Dad announced for the first time back in 1976 at the Medford Speedway, and as you guys know, he's been announcing pretty much ever since. Dale Earnhardt was his number 1 guy. I got Dale Earnhardt updates. I'm not a Dale Earnhardt fan, no offense to people that are, but I got Dale Earnhardt updates every single week by my phone on where he stood in the points. So Dad, I will keep you informed of that. But anyways, in live music, Dad loved live music. He was in a couple of bands we talked about earlier. The first one in Brookings, Ultimate Reality, and then a pretty successful one called 357 here in town. Where, any 357 fans, right on. I just ran into some recordings of you guys, and I was like, that's cool. That's good stuff. And so, I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to hang out at the gigs every once in a while because Dad bought me a Mickey Mouse drum set. So these guys would be playing real rock and roll, and Dad made sure I had headphones on, and I'd be over there just beating the living heck out of this Mickey Mouse drum set, thinking I was a rock star. It was great. But my rock and roll experience, and this is a little tough one for me, of course, was with Dad. So my first live concert, Dad in the late 70s, early 80s, was responsible for bringing a lot of huge bands here in town, and I'm sure a lot of you were there at the expo. So that my first concert was REO Speedwagon opening up for, you guessed it, Survivor. Okay, I was 7 years old. Dad takes me there. I get to meet everybody backstage. I'm like, this is so cool. You know, this is my dad. I get to meet everybody. And so, but I'm young. And so at the end of the show, Survivor's done. They step off the stage, and Dad looks down at me. And I'm crying. I'm in tears. And Dad looks down and he goes, "Son, what's the matter?" And I said, "Dad, they didn't play the Rocky song." At 7, I had no idea what an encore was. But here's the moment that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Dad picked me up and put me on his shoulders. And he said, "Son, just wait." The lights went down. That band came back out, and the intro to "I the Tiger" came on. And that was an experience where, like Sean said, music runs in our blood. That was my experience right there. I will never forget that moment with my dad at that concert. Him and I rocking out to Eye the Tiger. To this day, that was my favorite concert, even though I don't remember any of the rest of it. So with that in mind, too, I've invited a really close friend of Dad's. And so in the 80s,